What it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, and I'm back for you with another new chapter of Deku The Summoner. And honestly, thanks a lot, guys, for the love and support that you had for that of the first, introductory chapter for that of Deku The Summoner, to be honest. I wasn't for sure on how people were going to, affect it or like it, to be honest. And by the time I'm uploading this, I'm basically off strike, to be honest. So I'm back, as they say. So, at any rate, let's go through that of a recap. In the last part, we went over on that of the world of MHA, a world saturated by that of heroes, all because of humanity developing that of superpowers, now known as quirks. However, in this world, a unique and surprisingly large continent comes near that of the shores of Japan, as several of the top 10 strongest heroes of Japan go to this island and to see if there's any inhabitants. And seems like there are. However, these inhabitants were already aware of this world, mainly because of one thing: the Order of Heroes. As one of its leaders, a young man by the name of Izuku Midoriya, formerly Japanese, is actually this order's second in command. Now, will this affect the heroes seeing things ahead of time? So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Chapter 1, Quirkless to Hero. Currently now, the pro heroes alongside that of the large army of so-called heroes that they are told that they all are, as they get a better look at each and every one of them once again, seeing that just as they confirmed that many of them are at least in that of their early teens, possibly late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, early 30s, and so on and so forth. Not to mention that of many of them on that of horses, to be honest, and also on that of flying creatures such as that of wyverns and pegasi, with Gang Orca looking at mainly that of the young ones, and that ranging from that of possibly 13 to that of 17, saying, "This is unsettling. Why are children here? How are they considered heroes?" Within Edshot commenting saying, "Remember, they could be that of a primitive culture. Back then, in that of feudal eras and in that of, medieval age, those who reach the age of 15 are already considered adults. But I won't lie, some of them here are quite young. It is somewhat unsettling seeing such youths having to fight." Within, Mirko saying, "I don't know what you're talking about. Seems like some of these guys can actually put up a fight. You can tell by their eyes alone. Even if they seem like they don't have any quirks, or if they do, I can tell they can probably give us a run for our money, a few of us, at least." Ryuko looking at that of her friend, Rumi, she can help as Ryuko, mentally thinking to herself while looking at that of the, bunny quirk user, thinking, if Rumi's thinking this, she thinking that some of us will basically struggle against all these people, then possibly we better not cause any trouble. Hopefully, Endeavor, Hogs, and All Might know that themselves. Within, she noticing a certain somebody trying to get ahead of that of the marching line, as being Mirio saying, "Excuse me, pardon me, I just need to get up to..." Before then, a blade came very close to that of his neck, if he didn't stop properly. Within that of a man in that of red robes, with that of brownish black hair, long black hair, wielding that of a katana in his right hand, saying, "If you don't want to lose your head, boy, I would stay behind." With Mirio, Elisa somewhat caught off guard, saying, "I didn't even notice him. How the heck did he..." With Gina saying, "What's the meaning of this? He's just you all stay behind here. Your leader, since you picked that of your top 3 heroes, they'll be the ones to answer to that of the heads of the order." Within, a young lady wearing that of a blue Chungsen dress, with that of a quite open slit that you could see that of her well-toned legs, as she has that of a bow and a fur pelt over that of her shoulder, with that of green hair put in that of a ponytail, saying, "Apologies for Navarre, takes his job seriously. Please, just be a little patient. You'll meet with your comrades once we arrive back at the castle. As she soon puts a hand on that of the man's shoulders, within him basically clicking his tongue, before then sheathing the sword, his katana, and then walking off with the rest, with everybody else doing the same, while many of them giving that of the pros some looks, some in that of, well, silent apologies, some with that of weariness, and some with that of pure and utter disdain or not even caring. But then, soon, Edshot saying, it feels like many of them already hate us for some reason. Within soon, a quite masculine and strong-willed woman spoke up saying, that's only half of it, kiddos. Seeing that of a beautiful, muscular, but quite toned, tan skinned woman with long flowing purple hair, with a quite revealing, well, bikini top, purple bikini top, with that of, well, a sash and that of waist robes, with that of a staff, with looks like that of, well, horns on that at the end of it. However, what stands out the most about her is that of her tribal markings and also that of her wolf-like ears. With then soon the pro saying, "Can I ask who are you, ma'am?" Within she introduces herself. The name is Nadir, Queen of Atari. Pro, it's nice to finally meet the pro heroes that our summoner has always talked about. With then hearing that, they all shocked saying, "Queen?" Within soon, Gina saying, "I've never heard of Natari before." Within saying, "Shouldn't be. It's not even in your world." Within, Georgia couldn't help but speculate saying, "Our world? What are you talking about?" Before then she could say anything, that's when soon she sees that of a young man with that of spiky blue hair, with that of a green headband, wearing that of black and orange armor, but he has a battle axe on his shoulder, on that of his shoulder, saying, "Nadir, we should get going." Knowing Deku, he'll explain everything towards them. We shouldn't be the ones to say anything. Within, she realized this, saying, Right, I forgot, Ike. Sorry about that, love." Within, with a flourish of her cape, saying, "Just keep walking and follow after us. We'll explain everything once we get to the castle." With that, the two soon walk off. Ryuko saying, "That woman was something." But then Mirko saying, "Just looking at her, I can tell she is strong. And I mean really, really strong." But then Georg saying, "She may have a mutant, by the look of her features and her ears, she has a mutant type quirk. Possibly that of canine, maybe wolf by any chance." Within Headshot commenting while the rest are walking with all the others saying, many of them do seem like they have that of quirk-like features, but to be honest, they seem more human than animal-based. Even those with that of animal traits still seem more human. Not to mention, it seems to be that of a lack of a lot of heteromorphs, to be honest. With Genius commenting saying, which isn't too surprising, but even so, with this little lack of them, and only those with that of animal-like features appearing instead, feels a little bit uneasy. Within, soon, Ryuko saying, "Not her country. She says she's a queen, but from a country that none of us have heard of, and she said that not from this world." You don't think, as she basically leaves off on that. Within, that's when Mirko grabs that of her friend saying, "Ryuko, I think you're overreacting. No way in hell other worlds exist. Girl is just probably pretending that she's some kind of queen or something. You seen that outfit." With Ryuko saying, "I know, but she has some kind of authority that almost felt like she was an actual." Within, Georg saying, "You're overthinking things. We'll finally know about this place sooner than later, but from the words of those ahead, the kid with that of the blue hair and the girl with that of the golden blonde hair are the ones in charge. And yet, that green-haired kid with the Japanese features, If I recall, I think I've seen him. A missing persons case. But then Best Jean is saying, indeed, I've seen it too. The boy known as Izuku Midoriya, Quirkless. The police were basically in charge of the missing persons, but given that he was quirkless, the search was not even worth it, to be honest. To be fair, I think it only lasted for a month before people just dropped it. But to think that the boy was here all this time, in another country, a country that nobody knows about at all, he must have had one harrowing experiences then. With that of the main three pro heroes, with Mirio trying to keep up, but many of those in the small army aren't allowing him to even get by at all, making him a little bit frustrated. With that of the top three pros ahead with that of the other three leaders of the Order of Heroes. But then Endeavor saying, why don't we just meet up ahead if we're having to go to that castle over there? But then soon Izuku saying, go anywhere further from us and we'll kill you on sight, Endeavor. Don't think we won't. Within, Endeavor completely caught off guard by that, saying, you want to say that again, brat? Within, soon, without warning, multiple blades, spears, and bows basically coming down his throat, even seeing that of certain people with the books basically open them up as magic begins to basically was about to hit him as well. Within, soon, Endeavor saying, why you? Within, soon, Izuku saying, like I said, you don't have diplomatic immunity here, Endeavor. You may be a pro hero in Japan, the number 2, but that doesn't mean a damn thing here. You either follow our orders or get dropped. Your choice. With Endeavor feeling the heat, knowing that none of them aren't going to hesitate. Basically showing in their eyes, even the youngest ones look like they're willing to basically drop him right then and there. With then All Might saying, just stand down, Endeavor. We'll get our answers sooner than later. For the now, just be patient. Within soon, Endeavor no longer tensing up as he basically leaves his arms to his sides. Within, everybody else doing the same. Before then, Alphonse couldn't help but sigh, saying, apologies, but we're aware on how you act, Endeavor, so we always have to be a little bit prepared. We're not afraid to basically end our opponent's lives, but we rather have it as a last resort more than anything. Within, soon, Hawks couldn't help but comment saying, seeing that you're aware of us, mainly because of your second in command, Midoriya wasn't, with Izuku looking at the number 3 pro before basically looking back, head forward, with then walking off, with that of a few other people walking along beside him as well. Within, and Hawk saying, since you're a missing kid, I hear that your mother was pretty worried about you. Within, hearing that, Izuku feeling tensed up. Within, Hawks couldn't help but say, if you could, we could put this aside and get you back home so you can. Before then, without warning, he pulls out that of a somewhat of a gun-like weapon. Before then, pointing it at that of Hawks, point blank at his face. With it, soon, Hawks noticed this, seeing that the kid that looks no older than that of 14 to 15 years old is pointing a gun at that of a pro hero. Especially knowing that the fact that he's supposed to be that of a hero fanboy and would never basically attack a pro. Within, looking at his eyes, the same lifeless, cold, non-caring eyes, saying, bring up my mother and try to use her against us. Again, and I swear, I can blow your head off right here and now, like I'll listen to a goddamn snake in sheep's clothing. You can keep that charismatic smile to yourself in honey words as well. I refuse to listen to the words of somebody who has more blood on his hands and doesn't even give a damn about all the lives he takes. Within hearing that, All Might, alongside Endeavor, couldn't help but be completely and utterly shocked by this. Within, Hawk saying, now That's a pretty brutal accusation saying, it isn't an accusation. I know it's the truth. Your eyes say otherwise. You have the eyes of a killer. Same as I. Within hearing that, Hawks couldn't help but say, now, kid, you don't want to say some things that could cause quite a bit of a trouble here. With Hawks actually fading that of the calm and somewhat casual and goofy tone to that of something more serious. Within soon, feeling that of a something coming down the back of his head, as it looks like that of a futuristic rifle. Within, the person pointing it being that of a young woman with that of a bob cut hairstyle with blackish purple hair and a military cap. That with her military-like attire, she basically shows that she is more of a sign of a soldier than anybody, saying, I would prefer it if you don't start threatening that of our summoner. Within, soon, All Might saying, trying to defuse the situation, saying, now please calm down, everyone. We know there's no need for such hostility. Young Midoriya, I understand that some things have may changed in the past 10 months, but within soon hearing that, Izuku saying, it's only been 10 months here, hasn't it? For all of you, hasn't it been? Within, leaving All Might completely shocked, but Izuku saying, of course it's only been a short amount of time for all of you. Why am I not surprised? Within, seeing that of the same woman who was right with that of the white robes standing right beside Izuku, and another woman with that of tan ashen skin with that of purple, that of green hair, with that of her hair covering that of the right side of her face, wearing an all black attire and a bow in her hands, as the two women basically go to that of are out on Izuku's side, holding him close. Within, as even though All Might can't hear it, he can tell that both women have that of strong affection for that of the young man. With then, soon, Izuku sighing, saying, Holder, put your rifle down. Let's try and calm this down. I overreacted. Apologies, Hawks. Within, the woman known as Holder puts down her rifle as she's saying, threaten anybody that I care about again, or anyone within the order. Not even my love's words will basically stop me from acting justice on you. Within, walking off, he realized, she's not joking. She'll probably do it. Who are these people? And why are they so damn scary? Within, soon, Alphino saying, Deku, are you? I'm fine. Alphino, let's go. Within, as they continue walking, with the pros walking forward too, with that of the others within that of the small army walking past them as they catch up pretty quickly with their walking pace. Couple hours later, they finally arrive into that of a large city, with that of a quite beautiful and luscious castle in town in the center, with leaving that of the pros completely and utterly shocked, seeing that of tons of people, civilians, walking around without a care in the world. However, once they noticed that of Izuku, Alphino, Serena, and Anna alongside many of the others, they all couldn't help but cheer and also scream, the warriors of the Order of the Heroes have returned! They've returned! With many of the civilians cheering for them, calling by certain people names and everything. Within, All Might saying, they're cheering quite a bit for that of the people. Within, soon hearing that, Endeavor saying, they're basically no different from pros, but yet none of them seem to even know us at all or even calling our names. Within, Hawk saying, probably, well, remember, these guys are probably from a backwater country, so it wouldn't be too surprising that they wouldn't get cable or satellite. Within, soon, that's when the other pros, as Mirio saying, but that Midoriya kid's here. Wouldn't he told them about us by any chance? Within All Might remembering that of Izuku, the day that they met the very first time and last as well. It was on the first day of April, the beginning of new school years after all. All Might came to that of Masafu, mainly to that of UA to gain that of the teaching position as he promised. Mainly to see if he can find a successor. But then he soon noticed that of a villain made out of sludge running away from that of a convenience store with a cash register inside of it, committing armed robbery. However, All Might, as the number one hero, couldn't help but not act after all, for being the hero that he is, as he chased after the sludge villain over all across that of the city, from the streets to that of the underground sewer system, until the sludge villain caught that of a young man that he was trying to steal his body from to hide away from All Might. However, All Might arrived in the nick of time, before then preparing one of his signature smashes, bringing his fist back with all of his might, before launching forward saying, "Texas Smash!" Sending that of a gust of spiraling winds in that of the small underpass, making the sledge villain go everywhere and freeing the young man in the process, who already passed out. But at the same time, while basically getting the sledge villain together and imprisoning him in a bottle, he also signed out of the young man's, hero notebook, as it says, "Hero Notes for the Future, number 15. As he couldn't help but admire that the young man knows so much about pros, even writing everything about them, especially the newest debuting pros as well. Before the young man woke up, he couldn't help but freak out, showing that he was quite the hero fanboy of him, which is no surprise for All Might. Didn't think much of it. And however, he should have known, as the young man basically clinged on to him, flying up into the air, as he told the young man to let go of him, but if he did, he would basically die. Within hearing that, All Might just decided to leave him on that of a rooftop and to knock on the door, but to make sure. But however, the young man had to ask one question. Questions that would basically linger with him forever, but at the same time, he would forget about it too, not wanting to remember the painful memories of his past. Saying, "Is it possible for a quirkless person like me to become a hero?" Within, saying everything. As the young man says, "All my life, everyone has told me to basically give up on my dream. Told me to basically stop trying to become a hero, since I don't have a quirk. But I wanted to be a hero just like you, to smile and save people any way I can. I wanted to know if it's possible for a quirkless person like me to be a hero like you." However, when saying all this, he wasn't aware that the All Might that he grew to admire has become a lot more weaker, basically showing himself as a scrawny, emaciated, and basically weak young man in his early 50s, who can't even hold down, basically coughing up blood every 5 minutes. But then the man shows that his wound that he got, the wound that basically cost him a half of his lung and his entire stomach, that basically made him weak and not even allow him to be the full-time hero like he's always meant to be after all. Even saying that, the smile that he always has, the smile that always reassures others, is basically nothing but a smile that hides away his fear. Within, however, he was unaware about when he said those words, basically was a blow for Izuku. Before then, the blows that would finally end it. Before it's saying, "You want to know if it's possible for you to be a hero without a quirk, but I'm sorry, young man, it is impossible. Heroes put their lives on the line every day, and somebody without power is just going to cost him his own life, and possibly others." Within him saying, "Just go into law enforcement, be a doctor. People always give the police a hard time, but that they show up only when that of the villain's taken care of, but it's still a good profession, trust me. or be a doctor. Oh, people need more people like that in the field, after all. Just gotta say, you need to think realistically and make sure that your dreams are attainable by your standards. On the surface, what all I said was true. However, to a boy like Izuku Midoriya, a boy who's gone through hell his entire life, who's been looked down upon, ridiculed, hated, just treated like crap for merely existing, living in a world where everybody has a power, everybody around him has a power or some sort, and yet he doesn't. He is basically considered an abomination. On that day, Izuku Midoriya went missing. It was only started broadcasting and brought to that of the news a week later. Nobody, and I mean nobody, had anything over this kid. People already believed that he was just, since he was quirkless, he was basically another statistic within Japan's order. Another quirkless person taking their own life. The case only got traction for a month before it was dropped as Izuku Midoriya deceased. And every day basically went its normal days. Even All Might completely forgot about that of the young man until now. But now, when he sees the people screaming that of the name of Izuku, Lord Midoriya, Lord Izuku, Summoner Deku, you're the greatest. It almost seems like he actually achieved his dream of wanting to be a hero while being here. Why does it seem like he went through so much harrowing experience to even do so, though? Before arriving at that of the massive castle, once opened up, it almost looks like that of a miniature, large town, actually, with that of many other people, with that of swords, spears, axes, bows, daggers, books, and also many other people that look like they have that of animal traits as well, while some with that of pointed ears. Before then, seeing that of a young man with that of white hair, a white shirt, purple pants, and a multicolored cape with that of a sword in his hand saying, Deku, Prince Alphonse, Prince Sheeta, Commander Anna, you've all arrived. Welcome back. Before then, so I sang, Deku! Seeing that of another, darkened skinned young woman with a uniform that almost, with a purplish, leotard, a uniform that almost looks like it's been painted on instead of, wearing it. As she has that of long, teal green hair. And what stands out the most is that of her having that of a glowing snake with that of two heads wrapped around that of her body. However, what stands out the most is the fact that she's nuzzling that of Izuku, with then soon that of the white-haired man saying, apologies. But Lady Nidhogger basically found herself into that of the boo stash, mainly because within she's saying, I was so worried about you. How was I supposed to know if you were going to be okay when those big bad meanie heroes of your country would basically treat you? As she's basically nuzzling that of Izuku's cheek so much, given that her own cheeks are pretty freaking flush. That's so much blush on her. And the fact that she also smells like alcohol as well. With then Ganorka saying, should a woman like her be acting like this around that of a child or multiple children by any chance? Indeed, this is truly unsightly. Within, Edshot saying, what is the woman's relationship with that of the missing boy? Within, a young man wearing all blue with that of a golden sword in sheath, and with that of red hair and a blue bandana saying, isn't it obvious? She's his wife. With leaving all the pros completely dumbfounded and shocked as well. With Mirako saying, that kid has a wife? With Ryukyu saying, that's absurd. Why would... He's just a child. He shouldn't be... Within, a pretty muscular young man with that of tealish armor, with one of his arms being bare, showing his massive arms. However, what stands out the most is that he looks like that of the same young blue-haired young man that they saw at that of the coast with that of Navira, but instead of an axe, he's having that of a golden long sword. And also, he looks at least a little bit older, possibly in that of early 20s. Within soon, that's when Gina's saying, "Wait, are you possibly that young older brother?" Saying, you must have saw the younger version of me. Apologies, but it's quite complicated to explain. For the meantime, we'll explain it once everything's settled after all. But yes, Izuku is married. And to be honest, they actually bring him a lot more happiness than he's ever been in his own country. After saying that, that's where they couldn't help but feel at least a little bit, complicated within. Just be a little patient. Leaving the pros still a little bit shocked. Within, seeing that of several women basically pulling off that of Nidhogger after all. Within, Izuku actually having that of a, genuine, happy, and cheerful smile on his face, while his face is completely and utterly red from embarrassment. Within, soon, Alphonse clearing his throat saying, "Apologies, this is some of the things that happen here in the Order of Heroes. But before we get started, take some time to relax and rest. We'll head to that of the war room for that of the meeting to explain the situation and why one of your civilians is our second in command as well." No longer blushing and shot and basically having anything. However, his eyes go back to that of the lifeless stare back at the hero, saying, "Well, a few of them will show you to your rooms. Would any of you guys like to volunteer? No need to force it." Within, somebody raising his hand saying, "I would like to volunteer. I don't mind doing so." Within, seeing that of a young man with that of purple hair and purplish violet robes, as he has that of a kind and somewhat innocent smile on his face. Then a young woman by his side saying, "If Leon's doing so, I would like to show them around too, into that of guest rooms, before the meeting starts, Lord Summoner Izuku." Within, seeing that of a young woman with that of high-grade blue armor, a somewhat radiant spear, and that of a helmet that, snugs formally over that of her large blue ponytail. Then saying, "Thank you, Erica. I'm always glad you're always here by my side." Within, she couldn't help but give that of a kind-hearted smile, before then saying, "Please, pro heroes from Japan, follow us." As she walks up, as the two basically lead the way, with the pros deciding to follow after them. Within, as they basically continue going forward to that of a nearby barracks. Within, soon, one person finally spoking up saying, "I'm gonna out and say it. Should we really trust those pros or not slay them right here and now?" As it being a young man wearing that of somewhat samurai-like attire, with that of a look that could basically kill with his crimson red eyes and navy blue hair. Within, somebody else spoke up, as it being that of a young man with that of navy blue hair as well, but with that of somewhat radiant armor and a sword on his head, with that of a somewhat crown over his forehead, saying, "I have to agree with Felix on this one. Sure, we know that many of them would basically attack us. I'm wondering on why they didn't bother to do so." Within, a young woman with that of a black coat, hair and putting that of twin tails, and looking like that of the young man that greeted that of, Izuku and the others at that of the castle gates, saying, "I have to agree, something must have tipped them off about us, outside of just that of the two pros, Hawks and Ryuku, was it? Izuku? That we knew that they were there. If anything, I'm surprised that they didn't bother attacking us, expecting that we were a hostile force to begin with, but instead we were a defensive force. Either they're more perspective, or better yet, within somebody that looks exactly like her, but wearing the same clothes, as it's actually the same person that met him at the gate, saying it's possibly somebody tipped them off that we were a defensive force instead of a force of attack." leaving that of mirrors around that of the entire small army force. Within, a young man with that of slightly green hair, wearing that of blackened armor, with that of a sword that looks like it's made out of bone, saying, honestly, it wouldn't be too surprising. Somebody had to basically inform them about us that we were not a force of aggression, but a force of defense in case they were the aggressors, that we would act in self-defense. But who would? With many people basically muttering to themselves, basically wondering on who could have been. Before then, Izuku sighing, saying, Loki. Within, here saying that name, everybody quiet down. But a few people hearing that name couldn't help but basically get angry. Alphonse saying, you really think so? Within, Cheetah saying, Loki, it's surprising, but why would she help us? Within, Izuku saying, who could say? That woman likes to do her own thing. She only basically acts for her own amusement after all, or for that of the realm of the gods. Within, the young woman from before, known as Holder, saying, my lord husband, perhaps Loki did it as a favor, to be honest. Within, hearing this, one man couldn't help but growl, saying, that woman only gives a damn about herself. She doesn't give a damn about any of us. Within, another voice saying, she's nothing but a damn traitor. Within, a few others began to badmouth her. Before, then, soon, one voice saying, enough. Within, seeing that of another blue-haired young man, with that of wearing that of blue medieval attire and clothes, with a sword basically sheathed on his left side, saying, we all have felt betrayed and basically lied to by Loki's schemes, especially given everything she has done to the Order of Heroes. We all know, especially all of us have been manipulated by that of her tricks. But let's all not forget, she may be an enemy alongside that of her sister Thor, but she's also a former comrade. If she did this as that of a favor to us, who's to say that she's not acting on her own, or mainly acting as that of a favor for being once a member of the Order? Well, when you know her best, after all, Izuku. Within hearing that, Izuku sighing, saying, Loki's always been a trickster. She always does things when she wants, how she wants it. Nothing more, nothing less. She informed the pro-heroes of Japan that we're not really an enemy force. Then she has her own reasons for doing things. She probably just did it just as that of a favor, not wanting to cause any trouble. Or possibly as a way to test them. You know how she is with that of her little test after all. Within, Alphino saying, all the same, whatever she did to basically convince them, it made it easier for us not to spill any blood on that of Asker soil. We already know that this world has caused quite a bit of pain for that of our summoner. But even so, we are still a force for good. Even if many of us have done horrible things, we've all now do it for the greater good and for our continued future of our kingdom and the many other worlds out there as well. So, for the time being, all of you must play nice with that of the heroes. If they cause any trouble, and words alone won't deter them, you all have action to use force, but don't kill if necessary. Within, a white-haired girl, not like that of the one with the ponytails, but one with that of ceremonial attire, fully red armor, and golden patterns, with an axe in her hand, saying, I believe we can all follow that, Alphonse. However, it's going to be easier said than done. A few of those pros are pretty skeptical alone as well. Not to mention, with a man wearing that of white robes with blue patterns and that of blue hair as well, having his arms crossed, within saying 3 of those pros may cause a problem. But Izuku commenting, saying, Sigurd's right. Endeavor, Hawks, and Mirako. They're the 3 that may cause the biggest amount of problems for that of the Order of the Heroes. Mirako is one of the most strong. one of the most strong-willed and most battle-craven pro-heroes of our country. I don't remember much, but but there was a rumor saying during her younger years she was once a vigilante that go by the name Tiger Bunny. I don't know if it's true, but it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Endeavor is one of the most aggressive pros. He does his own thing and has always done his own thing. He's not a fan of basically following the rules because he follows his own kind of rules after all. Plus, he's the kind of guy, he always does a lot of collateral damage, but he never involves that of innocent people and civilians into those collateral damages though. Ironically, then there's Hawks. During my younger years, he was one of the fastest and youngest pros to be in that of the top 10, mainly due to his connection being part of the HPSC, the Hero Public Safety Commission. I didn't think much of it yet because it was just the Public Safety Commission that look after the pros and regulate that of the hero rules and laws. But with all this experience and everything I've gone through, and when I saw his eyes, his face says it's all carefree and having fun, but his eyes say otherwise. Within that of a young man with black hair couldn't help but scoff, saying, basically a man who is a hypocrite, who hides his true intentions through that of honey words. In simpler terms, he's nothing but an assassin and a lapdog. Before Izuku says anything, that's when three guys basically say, Soren, within hearing those voices saying, apologies, Ikes, I didn't mean to. Then soon Izuku saying, it's alright, Soren. If anything, you're justified. Your bluntness is always necessary and needed. Within, soon Soren couldn't help but basically scoff, saying, well, you need an advisor like me to always keep you in check. Izuku. Within, soon Alpha saying, we better get the war council ready, but we still need those to keep an eye on him. Within, Izuku saying, I'll keep an eye on the pros. I know them better than anybody, after all. Within, soon, the young woman beside that of Izuku's gun thrust saying, we'll be by your side too, Deku. As that of the black armor-wearing young woman saying, agreed. As your wives, it's only our duty to always keep you safe and protect you. With Holder having her rifle by her close to that of her chest, with her nodding, smiling, with a little bit of a blush too. With Nidhogger saying, I'm starting to get a little bit sober now. If they try anything or basically ask you some uncomfortable questions, is it okay if I can basically gobble them up if I can? But then Izuku saying, let's try and have that as the last resort. Nidhogger, please. But then saying, okay, Deku, if you say so. Then Chino walks to that of Izuku saying, Izuku, are you sure? Saying, yeah, I can handle myself. Trust me. With then a little girl walks up to that of Izuku saying, brother Izuku, are you sure you're gonna be okay? But then seeing that of the green-haired girl wearing that of a purple robe, a blue vest, and that of a white dress and blue boots, Kun basically looks a little bit worried, but then saying, I'll be fine, your brother got this, I promise. But then she a little bit worried as Izuku placing a hand on her shoulder, giving her that of a comforting smile, with the light in his eyes actually showing that he promises that he has this. But her saying, okay, just please don't overdo it, okay? Then Izuku saying, promise. With that of Gothra saying, Sister Nino, please, we promised that we would also look after him too, in your stead when you can't. As she looks down, looking back saying, okay, thank you, Gunthra, Ligyorn, Holder, and Nidhogger. Then all four women smiling back as Izuku walks off, but with bringing back his hood up too. But then many of the other heroes begin to basically walk off and do their own thing, with however many of them commenting saying, I really hope Izuku isn't pushing himself again. He always overdoes things. With then another one saying, I don't think he's trying to prove himself. He's been over that for years now. Yeah, this is just him doing his duty as the second in command of the order. Nothing more, nothing less. But don't you think that this is going to bring up too much trauma for him? As many of them begin to comment their own worries and feelings for that of Izuku. Then Alphonse can't help but sigh, saying, I can't really blame them for being a little worried. Within, the young woman known as Edelgard saying, as his best friend, you can't help but be worried for him, can you? With him looking down saying, no, I can't. Within him remembering the very first day he met Izuku, basically a shy, timid, basically no confidence having young man who felt like he's basically given up on the world and himself before seeing the true him. The boy who basically would give up his own life if it means protecting them from themselves or from others, and it caused self-harm to himself. Within, soon, Sheeta saying, so, we better get going, big brother. Saying, right. Commander Anna saying, I'll basically inform the queen. Take care, your highnesses. Within, Anna basically runs off into the castle. Within, leaving the three all to themselves. Within, Alphino looks at his sister, and at that of Edelgard saying, well, dear sister, my dear wife, let us be off. Within, Sheeta saying, yes, brother. Of course, lead the way. With the three heading to that of a different location within that of the massive castle town. With then, as the pro heroes basically walking around, they see that of so many people, all shapes and sizes, all ages, from young to old, big and small, some weird and some even wearing that of unique attire. Something that you would see that for people wearing festivals, cosplay, stuff that you would also see pro heroes possibly wear if it meant wearing around that of their quirks, and even some just being that of their bikinis as well. But everything else, it all shows that all of them wield that of weapons in their hands, leaving a few of the pros on guard at least a little bit. Within, that's when the purple-haired young man known as Leon saying, you're all quite on guard. It's hard not to tell. And personally, it's not hard to believe on why, given that a few of us have threatened to attack and harm you here or there after all, when all you want is answers. Is that right? Within, hearing this, All Might couldn't help but comment saying, young man, may I please call me Leon? All Might, is it? Within saying, yes, actually. All Might asking, may I ask, why is that young Midoriya in charge of all of you when he's just that of a child after all, possibly within 15 years old? Within, Eric is saying, makes sense that he would be 15 to all of you, but it's a lot more complicated. As much as we would like to explain, but I think he would be the best one to explain better. Within, Mirko saying, you all say that. You really expect us not to get any information? Within, Leon still smiling back at them with his eyes closed and everything, saying, just trust us. Our leaders will not leave you hanging. But it will let you know this now. Not a lot of us are happy that you're all here to begin with. With Best Genius basically combing his hair, saying, it's obvious as well. To be fair, we need to know why. We haven't done anything too hostile. We're aware of being told that you are just a force of defense, not a force of hostility after all. Within, Erica hearing that saying, I see. Within, Edshot saying, a woman by the name of Loki convinced us that you were all there to defend your homes after all from us. It's understandable that we were seen as invaders, so we must. Without warning, all the pros could feel that of a demonic presence basically flowing from that of Leon, as he couldn't help but basically clench his fist saying, Loki. As the soft-toned young man now has that of a more gruff and more sinister tone in his voice. Without warning, he was soon slapped upside the head by that of Erica, within saying, please calm him down, Leon. I don't think we need the time to deal with that right now. Within hearing this, Leon shaking his head saying, apologies, dear, with that of a shy and somewhat embarrassed smile, with leaving the pros actually somewhat terrified and actually being on that of guard right now. Within, soon, Leon basically bowing his head, saying, in your traditions, in that of Hushido traditions, bowing your head is basically the proper way to show apologies and also that of respect. Allow me to apologize for that. When you brought up that, well, woman's name, it brings up bad memories for many of us here at the Order. Within, Miriko saying, so you're saying that she's not welcome, or Erica spoke up saying, what my husband means to say is she's a traitor. She's betrayed the Order more times than we can count, actually. Even broke the heart of our dearest summoner, after all. Within, hearing that, within, All Might saying, young Midoriya, what do you mean by? Within, soon she's shaking her head saying, apologies, it's not my place to say. All you need to know is if Loki basically told you about us, either it was about that of you getting the upper hand on us, or she was testing you. The woman loves her tricks after all. But all the same, let us show you to the dorms, which we have actually arrived to. Within, soon looking around, as they notice that of massive, multiple medieval apartment complexes actually, with Hawks whistling saying, wow, this is actually a lot more sophisticated. Within, that's when Eric is saying, you have to thank our summoner for that. He brought up the idea of many of the heroes of the past having to sleep outside, or used to that of, well, roughing it actually, due to long campaigns after all that we're used to. So he basically brought up the idea of, well, a dormitory, with Leon commenting saying, each and every one of us lived here together. Many of us, there are single dorms, basically co-ed dorms, and even couple dorms as well. To make things easier, we'll get you around that of an area where you can all have that of your own dorm rooms, or if you feel like it, you can all basically live together if within all of them say, we would all prefer separately. But then soon, that's when Miriko and also Ryukyu spoke up saying, we would prefer co-ed actually. But then, All Might saying, same goes for me and young Togeda actually. We would prefer co-ed rooms if possible. But then hearing that, Mirio saying, wait, All Might, what are you? But then looking at that of his successor, with realizing as Mirio realized, oh, right. Within, soon Leon and Erica look at each other before them shoving their shoulders saying, if that's what you wish. Within, Endeavor can up say, if you don't mind me asking if this is too personal, the two of you seem like you're very close. Within, soon Leon saying, well, if it's not that obvious, the both of us are married actually. Within, hearing that, Gang Orca can up a comment saying, you two are married, but why? You're all so young though. How old are you? Within, Erica saying, I'm at least 17. Within, Leon saying, I'm 17, close to 18 actually. With Genus can up and say, so young and yet already married. Is this due to that of your cultures, or within soon Leon saying, let's just say the both of us have been through harrowing experience, both together and separately. That's all. Life is too short. So within, Erica finishing what Leon's about to say, so we live it together no matter what. As they move forward hand in hand, leaving the pros completely dumbfounded after all, with even Mirio couldn't help but wanting to make a joke, but he can't, saying, wow, to think that they got married so soon. Oh, just imagine, what do they have to go through to make them go marry like this? Within, Endeavor saying, arranged marriage. It's obvious. Within, everybody looking at that of the number 2 pro, within just walking off towards them, leaving them completely dumbfounded that he said all that, with Hawks a little bit skeptic about that of his idol after all. with Erica and Leon showing each and every one of the pros out of their rooms, with allowing that, and then showing that of both Miriko, Ryukyu, All Might, and Mirio to that of the co-ed dorms, which isn't really too far, but still showing them to that of their rooms as well. As Leon basically telling all the pros all at once, saying, give you some time to relax for at least a good few hours. In that time, that's when one of our leaders will bring you all to that of the throne meeting room, where we can all explain everything. Within hearing that, All Might saying, "Thank you, young Leon and young Erica." The two basically walking off, as Mirio saying, "So, All Might, what's the plan?" Within, to All Might saying, "The plan?" Within, Mirio saying, "Yeah, the plan. I mean, we're not, as much as I want to understand their culture, but the way that they act, the way that they do things, it's quite aggressive and hostile, especially towards you." Within, soon, All Might saying, "That may be young Midoriya's actions, actually." Within, Mirio saying, "Oh, right, I forgot." Within, slumping down on that of the bed, within realizing, even though it's old-timey, it's still pretty comfy after all, saying, "You said that you met him once when I was training to basically be worthy of One for All, to prove myself. You said that you met a quirkless kid just like you, that he asked if it was possible for somebody like him to be a hero without a quirk, without power. Then after that, within All Might saying, he went missing, completely gone off the grid entirely. When I realized that maybe my words possibly hurt him, possibly even pushed him over the edge. Not to mention, I did leave him on that rooftop after all." Within, All Might clenching his fist, at the same time he begins to cough, basically reverting back to that of his true form, before then sighing, basically sitting on the bed, saying, "Even though what I said was realistic, and I was trying to basically tell him to not throw his life away, I think I might have made it worse. I might have been the reason behind all of this. Maybe, just maybe, if I said something differently, maybe if I basically applied it in different ways, possibly the young man would have still been with us. Maybe he wouldn't have been a part of these weird people after all." Within, Mirio saying, "Don't be like that, All Might. You did what you could. And to be honest, I won't lie, the way that you said it, even now when you explained it back then, I was still angry at you. You kind of were a little bit hypocritical after all." Within, All Might hearing that from his successor, but then saying, "But even so, if Midoriya is holding a grudge, all you gotta prove to him is that you're truly sorry. Apologize for everything, for what you said, and that all you wanted was just for him to to live that of a normal life and be safe, like a hero should always be." Within hearing that, All Might say, "Young Mirio." But then, seeing that of the young man giving him that of a comforting, encouraging, and well-meaning smile, "Choosing you as my successor was truly the wise choice, my protege." Within, Mirio couldn't help but basically smile at that, before him coughing himself. "Young Togata," within saying, Sorry, I think there was something stuck in my throat a bit. Think I'm still not used to that of the air here, that's all. It's a lot more cleaner than it is than it is back in Japan, I gotta say." Within, All Might realizing, "You're not entirely wrong. Even in the countryside, there's at least a little bit of pollution, but not too much. We should rest up a little bit, gather up all our energy while I can. I was in my muscle form for at least a good few hours after all." Within, Mirio saying, "Yeah, I should rest up too. Hopefully I don't become dead tired." As then, it's basically all quiet, with All Might sighing, just trying to lay down. With not even phased, with Muriel just saying, I'll get you one time, All Might, just you watch. One of my jokes are gonna crack you all up. With then, he lays back down as well, arms basically laying on his behind him and everything. Then, All Might still couldn't help but smirk at all this. A couple hours later, within each of the pros being gathered by a few heroes actually. Before then, gather them back to that of the outskirts of the dormitory area, where Izuku, alongside his 4 other wives, are there. With Izuku getting all the pros' attention, saying, "Good, you're all here. I was hoping that none of you would basically sleep in when we needed to discuss things after all." With then soon Edshot saying, "Young Midoriya, is it? Please, could you? We'll go into details once we hit to that at the throne room. Just follow us." The others did get it at least ready for the past few hours. Sorry it took a while though. With then Mirako getting a little bit annoyed, showing that of an irritated face, saying, "Hey kid, you're basically one of those kids that went missing after all. A quirkless kid? You at least want to give us at least that of an explanation on why you're here and how the hell you're here." Within, all of his wives basically glare at that of Mirako. Within, he's saying, "I told you, Mirako. I'll explain once we get to that castle. All I'm saying is for all of you, please either shut up and be patient or don't speak at all." Within, after hearing that, Mirako couldn't help but feel a little bit, ticked off by just being told off like that. But in another way, she couldn't help but at least be a little bit impressed by a kid after all, basically standing up for her. It gives her at least some respect for him before wanting to basically put him to the moon. Within, Ryuko going to that of her friend saying, "Rumi, just calm down." Within, Edshot saying, "Even though Mirako said it in a way, I am still curious on how that young boy, quirkless boy who went missing, is now basically in charge of seems to be in charge of an entire hero group, or at least somewhat of a vigilante group at that." Within, Genyoka saying, "No, they're a hero group. You heard those people outside, how they were cheering for them, calling them by their names and everything. They're seen as heroes in this country, it seems. Even the boy." Within, Bestine is saying, "All that explains is why and how," with causing All Might to wonder, "Young Midoriya." As looking back at that of the young man, being followed by that of the 3 beautiful women. Within, heading into that of a large castle in the distance. Within, climbing at least that of a few stairs, as Endeavor couldn't help but comment saying, "I thought we were heading to the bigger one." Within, Izuku saying, "This is where the Order of the Heroes' main base lies. The castle town is basically where everybody basically goes around and do their own thing. But this is where we do our meetings and where many of the heroes meet up after all." Within, Endeavor basically getting his answer and staying quiet, at least for now. Within, opening basically a large group of doors, walking in, seeing that of multiple corridors on the left and right, before seeing that of a huge columns in the distance. Before then, seeing that of an open way with sunlight in the distance. Climbing up a small set of stairs before entering into that of a large throne room actually, where a table and throne is in the distance. Lying there is basically Alphonse alongside Edelgard and Sheena, but not just them, but also that of a beautiful young woman with that of purplish blue hair, a light blue open slit dress with that of long blue stockings alongside that of blue boots as well that goes with that of the dress. Another young woman with that of, blackened armor, a gold scepter, and in that of, golden headwear as well. This as the same white-haired young man with the multicolored cloak is also there too. With then Izuku basically heading into that at the back, wearing there the large throne sitting by as he sits on it, with that of a few other smaller thrones for that of his wives as well. Within soon, Alphino saying, "Please, all of you, take a seat. We have much to discuss." Within each of the pros deciding to take a seat. Before then, Alphino saying, "Before we explain things, allow us to introduce that of a few other people new to us or those who you've already noticed. You've already met that of Ike." Within pointing at the man with the teal-colored armor. Within saying, "Pleasure." Within soon looking at that of the woman and that of the blue dress saying, "My name is Altina. I am the main trainer of new recruits that come to that of the Order of the Heroes after all." Within the one with, as Alphino points at that of the one with that of the black with the black armor, as this is Princess formerly. "Remember, Alphonse, I am not the princess you knew." Within saying, "Oh right, apologies. I mean, this is," within she introduced herself, "I am Veronica, a former princess of the kingdom of Embla, neighbors to that of the kingdom of Asker. I serve as personal advisor and protector for that of the Order of Heroes, in case anything bad happens while that of our leaders are away." Leaving the pros quite shocked once again, saying, "But she's just a girl. The other two I can get, but she's..." Within saying, "Trust me, I've been through my fair share of battles, just like the rest of us here. You have no need to worry for me." Within, Robin saying, "I guess I'm the last one to introduce themselves. My name is Robin. I am the tactician of the Shepherds, a band of fighters who fight for peace. I act as that of the secondary strategist and tactician for the Order of Heroes. I even advise that of our summoner." Within, looking at that of Izuku in the back, as he smiles at that of his, mentor and other big brother figure. Within, many of the pros complete shocked on how young many of them are. Many of them look like that they're barely even in their 20s. Within, soon, All Might saying, "Now that we all have names to the faces, can we all ask, why? What is going on here, and who are you all truly?" Within, soon, Izuku saying, "I can explain that, All Might, since I would be the best one to hear this from. You are in the like he said, you are in the kingdom of Asker, named after that of the god of openings, Asker himself. The royal family you see before you, Prince Alphonse and Princess Sheena, are part of the royal family of Asker, as they also are in charge of keeping the gateways to that of other worlds in check as well." Within, hearing this, all the pros can help but be shocked. Within, Hawk saying, "Come on, kid, other worlds again? You can't be..." With many of the pros giving Hawks that of a look of "shut up and let him explain," even though part of them don't want to believe it, especially that of Endeavor. Within, Hawks couldn't help but basically blow air out of his mouth. Within, pushing up that of a strain of his bangs up. Before then, Izuku saying, "Good, at least you know your place." Within, soon, hearing that, Hawks couldn't help but basically get annoyed at that. Before, Izuku continues saying, "Yes, they're basically in charge of keeping the order of other worlds in check. Let me explain. Tell me, do any of you believe in the idea of the multiverse as a story of how that of a young boy from this world became a leader of heroes of multiple worlds?" And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Love to read them. So, how'd you guys like this? Sorry, it's not another action-packed chapter. As much as I want to basically get into that of the fighting It's gonna be a while until we do so. This is mainly just as a way to start setting things up after all, and this is also a way to show that the Izuku that we know from canon is completely not entirely dead. Dead's that of the pro heroes in the world of MHA, but still alive and kicking when it comes to being around that of the world of Fire Emblem characters. So yeah, anyway, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to date my videos uploaded to the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, my gaming channel, my other channel, my Patreon, my Cash App, and my PayPal. All linked in the description below. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later guys, hope you all take care.